Welcome back to Mindful Money with Max. My name is Max Matles, and I am here with Craig Stanton, one of the world's most impressive race car drivers. He is a race car professional coach for both Porsche and Ferrari. His list of achievements is so extensive, I need a piece of paper to read them off to you.
Read it.
Craig here does 24-hour mountain bike races just for fun. He is the Iron Man of racing. His first 2 years as an amateur race car driver, he competed in 90 races and he won 9 championships before he ever turned pro. He is the 2004 Grand Am Cup GS champion and the 2005 Grand Am Rolex Series GT champion. He is one of the few drivers who have won in almost everything, from motocross and off-road trucks to the prestigious 24 Hours of Daytona and the 12 Hours of Sebring. He is not just a normal race car driver. Craig here is the coach's coach. He is the racer's racer. He doesn't just drive. He is the go-to performance director for factory programs, meaning he is one of the top professionals in the entire world that they call when they need to go faster. Now, today, we're going to be exploring the intersection of high-speed performance and high-level presence, because Craig here is one of those guys that you look him in the eye and he's right there with you. He is in the present moment, and we've been friends for a number of years now, and every time I see this guy step into the office, he is there, he is present, he is focused, and it's just amazing to meet someone with that level of energy. Craig here comes from a world where a split second of lack of focus doesn't just mean a loss of money or time, it means a loss of everything. We are going to cover a lot of topics here today because every time I see Craig, it somehow leads to a multi-hour conversation anyway, and there's no camera even involved. So you guys are in for a treat. This is seriously something I've been thinking about for a while, and to actually be here and making it happen gets me really excited. So how are you doing today, Craig?
Amazing. I had a great morning practice, had a nice walk on the beach, and I knew that I was going to come and share some time with you. I'm grateful to be here in the office. Thank you for that intro. That's, 40 years of a motorsport career, it just goes small pieces along the way, day by day, but when you put it all together, it's like, wow, I'm impressed at myself.
He is the man, I am telling you. This is a humble guy right here. It is hard to get him to talk about himself, but when you do, you can peel back some layers of an onion that you just would not expect.
Well, thank you.
So today is going to be really cool, and we actually had a 30-minute conversation about life, racing, spirituality, eternalness, everything before we even got started.
We did.
So today is going to be a treat.
That was really fun. That conversation, we should have got the cameras going.
I think we've got more than enough left in the tank to cover a whole wide range of topics here today.
I agree.
But just coming straight off the heart, but what is one thing that you want your viewers to know right out the gate about you and your perspective of life?
Interesting. Well, first and foremost, I'm grateful to be here in your office. I'm grateful to be here. It feels right. It feels good to do this interview here today. So thank you for asking me to come along and on this journey with you today. I'm a seeker. I chose things along the way. I didn't really know that I was going to race bicycles or know that I was going to race motorcycles or know that I was going to race cars. It just, the door opened and I ran through it. It was almost like ready, fire, aim. It was never like, well, let me plan this and plan that. It was always a massive yes. And that's one thing that, I guess it's the intuition, it's the guided wisdom that you listen to. That the doors open up, and it was something that I never looked back, and I focused super hard, was present. We choose people, places, and things to work out our shit in life, our stuff, and how we work out that is how we evolve in life. I mean, you have so many things that we talked about earlier, is you have so many avenues that led you to this moment right here, doing an amazing job, just like with Dave and the rest of the team. I think that with all my drivers that I've coached, it's that journey, and people chose racing. People choose artwork. People choose racing bicycles or being a mom or a dad or gardening or whatever, to work out their presence, to work out their work out their stuff in life. And when we're present, then we get to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
When we're so like locked down in life and get distracted so hard that sometimes there's a droning along in life. And I was a kid that I never crawled. I went right to walking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to run towards things. And I like a lot of life. I like a lot of experiences. I don't know. I'm just, I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for where I'm at. Things stung along the way, but those things we talked about before, some of those journeys that stung a bit were a massive growing exercise. And you come out the other side like, wow, I can call some of those learning experiences my own now. And you can share them or you can build on those, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That art of learning to let go, I would say.
Yeah, that journey of surrendering. And that's what I'm learning now is to surrender. I can fight. I was talking earlier that maybe there's 1 or 2 clients that kind of dropped off this year. Mm-hmm. And the old way is I got to get on the phone. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I got to run around and try to generate more work. But there is also something that it's I can surrender to the experience and open up to the mind, body, and spirit, right? Mm-hmm. Open up to, okay, this is who I am. This is where I've been. This is where I'm going. And I can say, I know what I know, and people will flock in to find and get that information, because I share that stuff. A lot of drivers, I can't, share that. It's proprietary. Man, I share it. I share it every day. If somebody's going to listen, I share it. I share what I've learned. So it expands the collective, expands the world. So I never want to hold anything close. I just want to, if somebody's going to ask a question, if somebody needs a little piece to go quicker, I coach by mind, body, spirit. Mm-hmm. And so, getting your mind right, getting your spirit right, and getting your body right. It's, the lap, the actual lap that we drive is a small piece of the pie. It's all the other things that we do that brings us to the moment of knowing.
So I think a lot of viewers would be very surprised to see this kind of perspective from somebody who's a professional racing coach for both Porsche and Ferrari and just such a big racer in the professional world, to have this mindset of, surrender, I'm going to trust, I'm going to, give myself up to a greater plan. Because I think sometimes people look at these highly successful individuals like yourself that have taken the professional race world by storm as somebody who must have been jotting down their goals every day and saying affirmations in the mirror. And maybe you do that stuff too, but to have that ability to do your best, trust, surrender, let go is, I think, ironically, probably one of the things that has gotten you to where you are today.
Well, that is, yes, and that's an evolution. There was many, many, many years. I mean, I think it's been just the last 10 years where I've learned about more the art of allowing and surrendering and partnering with, a higher power, partnering with God, love, light, creator, source. And I think that's the infinite. It's interesting when you're in a race car or any other modality. When you're in a race car and you're fighting the car, you're fighting yourself. You're fighting physics. I got to do this. I got to do that. You're in your ego, and that's the side of your brain that's really small. That's the side of your brain that is like in fight, flight, fear. Please, any of those things. You're in your ego, which is finite. When you can surrender into the, you're an artist, you're doing all these things. I see your amazing artwork on the wall. That's a flow state. Those are in the zone, so to speak. That's kind of an older term, but that is partnering with a bigger, higher power. And so every athlete has that next level. It's that 7th gear. It's that 8th gear. It's that overdrive. It's the way that all of a sudden time and space kind of slows down a bit. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're just in this flow. Like I always thought in a race car that it's the quietest place on earth. It's time slows down. to where it's a funny thing is I'm in a race car doing a lap, breaking it down into one turn. I'm executing a plan that happened a lap before. So the lap before, I'm actually evaluating how I got through that turn and then making a plan for the next lap. So the next lap, I'm executing the plan that I had last lap for the next. So I'm actually in the past, I'm in the present, and I'm in the future all at once. So you can't do that in your ego. It's very hard to go, I got to pass that person, or I got to get that lap, or I got to, anytime you say, I got to, you're in your ego and you're not in the flow state. So in the mind, body, spirit aspect of me teaching, I try to bring all those aspects into it. So that's the spirit side. That's the mental side is bringing yourself properly to the event, executing the event, and then setting up a plan for the next event. My deal was that I always tried to do a lot of volume because the more I did it, the better I got. And so that's why I chose road racing. Plus I did homework in off-road racing, or I raced any type of stock cars or whatever. Those were all homework to come back. So I never got uncalibrated. I was always calibrated in. So nothing caught me out. So I had this massive toolbox of skill sets. And then I worked on the body side. So in motocross, you've got it's one of that, and soccer, I think, is one of the most physically demanding sports on the planet. So I learned all about being super over the top fit. And then I brought that to road racing. So I brought all that fitness to road racing. And so that I could sit in an endurance environment, we do 3, 4, 6, 12, and 24-hour races. So I never wanted to be in a car and got tired. Or the idea is that the first thing that happens when you're tired is that your vision goes away and your mental process goes away. Now all of a sudden you're in your head and now you're struggling. So I never wanted to be tired. I always wanted to be fit and to be able to do my job as well as I can.
That's incredible. I mean, you've made a lot of accomplishments as an endurance athlete. So you've done a lot of 24-hour bike races. You've done a lot of like long running races as well. And it makes me think of how I've got a lot of ideas for endurance races that I'd like to do. So tell me, what gets you through some of those dark hours where maybe you're towards the end of a race, your endurance is starting to go, you maybe don't know if you can make it to the end. What gets you to the end? What advice would you have for someone like me who's at the end of a race, the end of a long project? What gets you through to the end?
So that's a great question. A couple things coming to mind is that being a Boy Scout, an Eagle Scout, I learned, and my dad and my mom, I learned about being prepared. So for any situation. So if I was in a car for 4 hours, I always want to train, and I always want to do things like I train for that moment in the car. If it's 4 hours, I'm going to train for 5 hours on a mountain bike. Or what I'll do is I'll do an hour mountain bike, an hour rowing, an hour running, an hour climbing, and put it all together. So, and I'm focusing the whole time. So, things like on the door, in the car, I always had water. So I can always drink water because I didn't want to be dehydrated, because the first thing that happens is your vision goes and then your mental process goes when you're dehydrated or you're cramping. So I always had water in the car. I also had things like gel packs that were taped on the side of the door. So I could grab a gel pack at any time while I was driving. And so that's instant calories. Or in a pit stop, a fuel load and tires last about an hour. So we come in every hour. So I had to have a little bit of rocket fuel with some calories in it. It'd be like aminos and some electrolytes and, a water, kind of a concentrated I always call it rocket fuel, but everybody's different and everybody could have something different. But I knew what worked for me because of my prep. So every pit stop I would have something that was already pre-made. They wouldn't have to mix it because we're in and out in 45 seconds. Tires and fuel and we're off.
I love it. I'm still trying to kind of dial in some of my more like nutritional strategy for some of these long races,
Yeah.
like ultra marathons, 24-hour climbs up big peaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that's the physical side of nutrition and getting to these long endurance races. What stands out to you in terms of the mental side of being able to complete these superhuman type feats, being one of the world's most renowned race car drivers?
Well, for one, I never wanted to get off the bike or out of the car. And so it was one of those things that I wanted to be in the car as long as possible, as much as possible, because I was fit enough, I was mentally prepped enough. And so I always wanted to be in the car. Everything in life that I did in life propelled me forward on that Sunday when I raced. So I'd be prepping from a Monday. I'd give myself Monday off as a rest, and then right into Tuesday, I'd start working for the whole week.
So you wanted to be there.
I wanted to be there in that moment. I wanted to be at the high level. I wanted to be in the car. And there was moments, I think you're digging out, how do I get myself refocused? And I would simply say, Craig, focus. There'd be a couple times where, the tires would be going off. I'm at the end of that 1 hour stint. The tires would be, the peak of the tires about the third lap. And then as you go through the stint, it kind of degrades. They just kind of go away. And so there's times where I would, pushing too hard, I would get in my ego a little bit. It'd be like, settle down, Craig, refocus. And I know that to be true because my ears are ringing. I would refocus and I would settle in with my breath. I'd put my tongue in the roof of my mouth. I'd do a little breath work. I'd take a releasing breath, whatever it was, and I'd be right back into it. And next thing you know, I would be focused and away I went. But time and space was different in a car, or when you're playing softball, or when you're doing any other activity. When you're really in it, when you're really present, when you're really in your purpose, there's nothing better. And I always wanted to be in that space. And so I prepped out of the car to be in that space as long as possible. My crew chief or the engineer would say, are you good for another stint? And I would give myself a quick assessment. I'd be in there for 3 hours. Can I go another hour? And I would say, yeah, I can do it. Or no, I'd be authentic and no, I can't. I need a break so I can come back, take a couple hours off and get right back in. An endurance environment, so like 24-hour race, we'd have 3 other drivers. Same car, same team, with 3 drivers that we switch. So every time you come in every hour on a pit stop, you'd either stay in or you'd switch out with one of your co-drivers. So now there's a little bit of they have rules now that you can't be in the car more than 3 hours. And it's a little bit different now. The cars are faster. It's more of a sprint race. We had to protect a weak link. So it was the brakes, or we had to protect the transmission or whatever. Now it's you point the gun at yourself and
you're just going for 3 hours.
It's a qualifying lap every lap. So now it's a little different. So you want to make sure that you're at the peak performance for 1, 2, or 3 hours. Yeah, just because it's so demanding. It's the cars are hot. They used to be 145 degrees in there. Now they're a little bit cooler with air conditioning and whatnot. But for the most part, and the cars are more demanding. Now the cars are a little bit easier to drive. Sort of. They're faster. There's more higher G loads. But anyway, back to how I stay focused. I don't know. My goal was to stay focused. And if the team needed me for another hour, I would do it. I would be prepared, and I would get myself mentally prepared. I would just have self-talk. It was great self-talk. It was just telling myself from one side of my brain to the other, refocus, take a deep breath. You got this. Keep going.
I love it. And so some of the audience out there may be asking themselves, what did you do behind the scenes to develop that focus in the first place that you could take onto the field, onto the track?
Yeah. So say, for instance, road riding, riding a bicycle on the road, I'd be in a pack. So I trained to be in a pack. I'd be we'd go out for a group ride. It'd be 60, 70, 100 miles, whatever it was. And that's how I met Phil, you know, who your neighbor is. And we were training partners. He and his brother were training partners for years. And so we had all these crazy, crazy workouts. And all the workouts were in the same space mentally and spiritually and focus-wise as being in the car. So the first mile, you know, you'd be talking whatever, and then the next 60 miles, I would be focused because you're going pretty quick in a pack. You know, you see these people on PCH and whatnot riding a bike. So it takes a lot of focus. And it takes a lot of focus not to, you know, you're looking at heart rate, you're looking at power output, you're looking at calories burned. So all those things are a focus. And so if you're just out there dinking around, I used every moment to build that focus and build that clarity for the race car.
So you worked yourself up. You went from level to level to level.
Yes.
And that's how you, with focus each step of the way, were able to build up to a world-class level of focus and performance and ability.
Yeah. So I remember in the beginning, I'd have to be, you know, in the trailer. I'd have to be away from other people for 45 minutes to get my mind right and get my, you know, get my whole thing right. And to be authentic with you, there was many years that I didn't have the right process. I didn't have the right focus. And I had to build on that. So in the beginning, I'd have to be by myself for 45 minutes before an event, before a race. And then, you know, as a pro, I remember being interviewed on the pre-grid, so to speak. Everybody else is in the cars and I'm doing an interview. And then I just hop in, buckle in, and then we're going in 30 seconds. So it evolves, right? That process of knowing it's a switch that it's like I'm kind of in it now, thinking about getting into the race car, buckling up, my helmet on, plugging in my communications, and getting in and being present with that car. I always partnered with the car as well. So whether it's the bike or whether it's in the car, it was the car tells you exactly what it wants and what it doesn't want. I mean, it's physics, right? I go through a turn and I get on the power too much and the back end steps out, you know, kind of slide, drift like in a dirt road. Okay, it doesn't like that. The tires don't like that. So if you listen closely enough, the car tells you exactly what it wants and what it doesn't want, how to be driven and how not to be driven. And every car is designed to be different. So a Ferrari is designed with the mid-engine to be driven differently. It's designed differently. It has its advantages in different spots of the track than a Porsche with the motor in the rear. So you have all this weight in the rear. And so somewhere from motorcycles, I was wired right to drive a Porsche. And I don't know why, but that's how I got pigeonholed as a Porsche driver.
Well, now you got to take me out in one of these Porsches.
Yeah, of course. It'd be really fun. Yeah, I'd love to. I love giving rides. Super elegant, smooth, flowy rides. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
So kind of switching gears, no pun intended, but as one of the as one of the coaches for some of the top race car drivers in the world, what is one thing that you want to make sure that each of your racers knows or understands or comes away with from the coaching experience with?
I start out with safety, fun, and then you get to learn something. So if we're safe and have a safe environment, the cars are safe, you're driving it safely, then all of a sudden your anxiety level goes down. It's the anxiety level that gets you out of the flow state and into I can or can't. Yes or no. That person, what's that person doing to me? You know, I got to pass this person. You know, I'm getting past. You know, it's all a skill set. So I never told myself I got to get aggressive. No, it's a skill set on being passed, having a faster car pass you. It's a skill set to pass another car. Wait, being patient. What happens is if we're in our ego, we're not patient. And when we're not patient, bad things can happen, potentially. Now, there's times where you got to go. And you've got to force your way into a situation. but it's never roll the dice and see what happens. You have you have a skill set. You have a tool for that. And so you know Alex Honnold, for instance, on free solo. I mean that is a crazy feat, and he was focused. But the idea that Alex is a true athlete, and he can focus up, half dome with no issue at all. There was a moment that he had to refocus here or there. You saw him on a ledge before one of those boulder problems. I'm not sure what it was, but he had to refocus a moment, and then he was fine. So it's the same thing. It's like, I can't believe I'm up here this high without any aid. But watching him refocus and then executing perfectly up that, it was really cool.
So when I tell people about the extreme sports that I like to do, one thing that often comes up first is they ask, what are the most intense, what are the scariest experiences that you've had during those encounters? And for myself personally, I feel like there's a handful of experiences that were almost close calls. Yeah. And in a way, I don't even reflect on them in a way that I maybe should. They sort of bring up a lot of, anxiety and tension around them. And I think anybody who's truly pushed it to that edge would probably admit something similar. Yeah. And so instead of reflecting on it in the way that maybe I should, I think I've just done a better job not putting myself into those same positions in the first place, or more so knowing how to prevent myself from getting to that edge.
That's a great question. I think that we have a natural progression, and I think that honoring that natural progression and not dishonoring. And dishonoring would be, say for instance, we go out and I have a client that's doing a 1 minute 30 lap. And if that person would go out there for 15 laps and do nothing different, your body adapts. It's the craziest thing. I've seen it day in and day out. Your body adapts. Next thing you know, he's doing a 129.5. Only because it's fine-tuning that 130 lap to become more efficient. That person becomes more efficient and then learns that it's the natural learning progression of your body. And you're partnering with physics in the car and all that other stuff. Next thing you know, that person's doing a 129.5. So he just took a half second off, only because he honored the natural progression of your body adapting. And your body adapting is understanding and being clear enough to where, I see, now I'm calmer through these turns, and I can carry more speed out into a long straightaway, or I can do a better job under braking, in a braking zone or something. So it's that doing the same thing, repetition, and then allowing your body and knowing the difference, what's unsafe. And, you always kind of pushing that limit a little bit, but always staying within your ability level. And once you stay in that ability level, your body adapts. And then next thing you know, you're doing something different and you're quicker.
See, I think I've made that mistake in the past. I spent years rock climbing without ropes. Yeah. And so that was just such a big passion of mine, or free soloing. Yeah. And there's been a handful of times where you get to a position where you say to yourself, I don't want to be here. And you focus because there's nothing else to do. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people in these extreme sports have had that moment where they say to themselves, all right, this is probably a bit too much. Yeah. And what do some of those look like for you? What are some of those experiences, and what did you take away, or what did you learn from those?
That's a great question. There's times where I would make a mistake and I would save it. It's almost like you got to keep going until you can't go anymore. There's times where I've gone off the track, aiming for the wall and braking, throttle, turning, all those things. You go until you can't go anymore, and sometimes you hit the wall. It's just one of those things. I've had quite a few wrecks along the way. And so it's one of those things that you learn back, then you look back and you learn from those experiences. And here's 20 people on a team. They've spent all this money. and you just crash their car. So it's a humbling experience. And so coming back even stronger, coming back, going back to your training, and whether you get injured or whatever, people go, oh, what's your favorite experience? One of the most rewarding experiences coming back from a slump, where I invited a whole team to step their game up in changing tires, fueling, setup, all those things that, and then I pushed myself too much. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up overdriving, pushing too hard, because I wanted to show them that I would step my game up. And I end up having, a lot of missteps, and I almost got fired. And so luckily I had 2 weeks off, and I went back to my performance coach, go back to my basic training. And he just, okay, we're gonna reboot here. And he would say, you got to look at your list of I am. You got 10 of them. I am Craig. I am smooth. I am perfect. I'm fit. I'm mentally, physically, and spiritually prepared. And you go through that list and write down I am. And it's powerful.
It is.
And you don't just say I am, but you feel it. You feel how, I'm in it now. I'm thinking about how I am in love with this sport. I am grateful to be here with you. I am absolutely in awe. I am, and you feel it, feel the feeling tone of it. And you do it a couple times a day, 3 times a day. Have a mantra all day long. I don't care, whatever it takes. I am. I did it this morning.
There you go.
I did it this morning before I walked in here in the office.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I just started doing some of those recently. I found a cool playlist, and it's, I'm courageous, I'm strong, I'm able, I'm worthy of success. And it's powerful. I mean, these words, these phrases carry a vibration.
They do.
And I mean, anybody out there who's considering that, I don't care if it seems cheesy, but give yourself some affirmations in the mirror in the morning. It changes your vibration, your brain structure.
It does.
I think it's very powerful, very needed medicine.
Yeah, I am grateful is huge, because it's sending a message to the universe. It's sending a message out to God. It's sending a message out, and it's received when you feel it. I mean, you can say it, but the power, it's supercharged when you feel it, I guess is a good way to put it. It's looking in the mirror is another way. You turbocharge that message to the all, to the infinite, to God. You send that I am grateful. I am grateful to be here. I am grateful to God. I'm grateful to whatever. Everybody has their own way they find themselves to I am, and it's powerful. Yeah, everybody, you can choose your own. Start with 2 and say it all day long. Yeah.
Well, speaking of kind of God, source, that everything energy, we had talked about it before we even jumped on the podcast here. But I think the world is in need of more understanding, in need of more realization and connection to something deeper. And so we've talked about and we've discussed our experiences. For me, represents a sense of eternity. And I think perhaps it's more of a experience of the final goal, the end goal of perfect realization in every moment. But what has that experience brought or taught you in your life?
For me, my experience, I can go to church and tick the box. I grew up in a Presbyterian church. I was a member early on. My parents were very involved with the church. And it was really interesting just about as a kid, and I'm not putting down church at all, at all. But for me, it was like just about the time that it's like, okay, here we go. Here's the answer. The minister is going to tell us the answer right here. Then it's like, okay, let's pray. It's like, oh, he almost said it. And so I feel that you can go to church and tick the box. For me personally, I did. But really finding the real meaning of the infinite or love or light or God or source or the creator there's a flow there. There's a flow that encompasses everything that you do, relationship, events, work. I feel the flow here, at the office. I think that a quiet moment in meditation or a quiet moment with your feet off on the grass, you can feel a different energy, a different feel, a different vibration. And that is how I felt in a car, is when in a quiet moment of gratitude and prayer, I am whatever. Everybody brings themselves differently to the race car. Everybody brings themselves differently to a spiritual awakening. And I think that it's hard, I mean, gurus, teachers, coaches can kind of point to it, but Om Namo Gurudev Namo, right? I bow down to the creator or the guru within. Right? And so we have the answers within us. We have the answers for the next step and who we are inside of us. We, a coach, I have an amazing therapist, coach, trainer, and she's helped me a lot with that. And from a practical side of, okay, you're a human on this planet. You walk the planet. You do all these activities. We're here, on the podcast. And she helps me with tools to be able to function as a spiritual being having a human experience. And I love that because we ultimately, I want to sit there and meditate for 2 hours and leave the planet. But really my job on the earth is to be able to be, to be here grounded and having this human experience and maybe doing a podcast like this and passing all this amazing, being a brother like you are, like we are, and having these amazing experiences. I mean, I know that to be true because I have goosebumps again. So being a human on this planet is going through all the challenges, being triggered. Okay, I am triggered. I'm pissed off, but how can I switch it? Oh, that trigger is actually an opportunity for me to learn. Now I don't have that perfected because I get triggered when somebody says you're triggered. But the idea is that it's like if I stop for a moment, we live in a duality world where those triggers, those choke points, those points that sting is actually an opportunity for us to flip and go, oh, that's the lesson right here. That's if I'm triggered, and I think that and now look at, again, I'm working through this shit right as we speak. And I have some really good tools and a really good partner that helps me out, in this arena. Partnership is really tough, with relationships and stuff, because you choose a partner and that is a soul appointment. There's a soul journey there. And I think that our soul is always on an evolution to wake up, to get better, to what is the meaning of us, and gratitude and love and light and God. All those things is not just to go, I'm going to go hang out and watch a football game, or I'm going to sit there and chill and scroll or whatever. I think those are distractions in life. And I don't want to be distracted. I wrote down about 30, 40 things the other day on how I was distracted. And how many ways am I distracted from evolving as a human on this planet?
Wow, that's powerful. I'm going to have to go do that sometime today.
Yeah.
When we get off here.
Yeah, this is not a distraction. This is actually, because we're here on a soul appointment doing this amazing thing. We are, there's so many ways that we can be distracted. We can scroll and look at what's going on in the government and blah, 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 which I'm a conspiracy theorist. So, and it's funny because all those conspiracies have come through. They're all true, and it's crazy. But I digest.
We'll jump into a whole Joe Rogan kind of podcast here. I love it.
I digress is what my point is. But really, how many ways can we be distracted so we don't evolve as a human on this planet? And that's our goal. That's I think that the more that we evolve, the more that we better ourselves, the more that we figure our true nature, as opposed to, while we're on this big old booze cruise that we're on right now for the moment, this mystery school.
I almost think about it in a grander sense in terms of what is humanity being distracted by? Like, what are we as a collective being distracted by? And I think you touched on it, but like the news, the social media, what's going outside, what's going on in terms of things that we cannot even control. Whereas we're distracted by all these things that have perhaps not as much to do with our own lives as we think they do.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing that I keep going back to for myself, and one thing I would urge any viewers out there to do is really take a step back from all the information that you're consuming and realize how much of this really impacts my day-to-day life. I'm not saying don't be up to date with what's going on in the world, but we're just bombarded with so much information that is just programming us into a fearful response so that we buy more products. We operate how other organizations want us to.
Yeah.
And I find that myself and so many other people are operating not as much from a place of self-sovereignty as we might think on the surface.
Yeah, we are programmed in many, many ways. And me personally, I'm not talking about anybody else, but I have this long lineage of narcissism, codependency. I have all these things that are in my lineage. And they're great people. It's just that there's the perpetuating, lack, not enoughness, low self-esteem, middle class. We just drone along. And I don't know. I look back at, and they're all great people. It just that's how it evolved in my lineage. And one of my goals here is to be able to break that chain and to realize, oh, I see. This is where I came from. They're great people, and how can I evolve from that wreckage, or how can I evolve from those things that keep me from evolving. In the world, I learned from when I retired, I took care of my mom and dad. I learned how to get the correct information to keep my parents safe during COVID. They were seniors. They were both, in need of care. And so as opposed to I knew what was going on in some of these during COVID, some of these retirement homes, communities, what was going on there. So I was able to keep them at home as much as possible, out of harm's way. And so through the information, the correct information, and not just looking at what you're scrolling on, but finding out the true information from real people who know as much as possible, because a lot of the stuff on the internet now is, it's AI generated, it's programming on both sides. It's hard to find the right information. And then, and so, but still.
I think it's getting harder and harder to sort through the information nowadays in a digital age. And I think that's one of the big reasons why people trust me here.
Yep.
And they trust me to be able to sort through what's right and wrong in
100%.
terms of their finances.
Yep.
And so I think you're totally on track. I think that you need to be the person that goes out and gets the best information for you, because if that information is just pushed to you, it's probably not the right information.
That's right. And that's why I invest with you guys. I look at you, I look at Dave, I look at the rest of the family and the team here, is that I'm getting the right information. See, what I realize too, that your generation potentially is, and your next generation younger, is quicker, more evolved, maybe tapped into, some higher powers a little bit more freely. I think that I think that you have a perspective from all the things you've done and all the quests you've been on. I think that you have an interesting perspective. Dave over here is somebody who's grounded in this world, and you bring something different. That's why I'm interested. That's why we're brothers. That's why I'm interested in, having you help me with my finances, because you have a different flow. It's butterfly wings, right? So you have a different idea. You're open to more things, and you're able to see the BS maybe a little bit more clearly on what is out there. And we can get swayed. If you're looking at TV, you've missed the mark. If you're looking at some of these mainstream podcasts and what's not, potentially you're missing the mark, because you got to chase the money. You got to find the money. You got to see who's paying for that podcast. right? So everybody has an agenda. Most people have an agenda, and I know that you don't. So my chiropractor, Eric, right next door here, doesn't have an agenda except to evolve as a human. He's a dad, and he's helped me with healing my, a broken back with no other agenda except to heal me. I love that. You help people with no other agenda except to help people. And I know you get benefits from it. And that's your first knee-jerk reaction is to be clear, to understand, see, and you look in between the syllables, right? So you look at the energy. You look at the energy that's coming up, and you find ways to do your job better and more clearly and more focused. And that's why I love being invested here. And a lot of my trainers and professionals that I have in my team, massage therapists, lawyers, they're younger than I am, for a reason that you guys are more equipped. I'd rather go to somebody younger with some newer ideas. Like when I broke my back, I interviewed 3 back surgeons, 4 physical therapists, 4 chiropractors, and I mean a whole team. And I came up with people that were younger than I am, because there's another element. I don't want the same thing, somebody just to crack my back. But I look at Eric over here as an example of 3rd generation, I think, healer, doctor, and they come from Korea. So there's another element there that I love. So he's weaving in some different modalities and he became the lead on my broken back. And no surgery, no pain, no nothing. And I'm grateful for that.
That's amazing.
And it's the same thing with you and Dave and the team here, is that you bring that element of like, that you'll have my back. I know that you're looking in between the butterfly wings to see what the truth is.
Thank you. I and we really appreciate the kind words. We really do. We do this because we love it. We love to help people, and it comes from the heart.
I feel it.
And you're talking a lot about these younger people who are kind of tapped in.
Yeah.
But what about some of these younger people that aren't tapped in? So because I think we live in an age where there's never been more opportunity for young people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's never been more distraction. There's never been more opportunity to go down a wrong path. So if you were to tell all the young people out there today, what's something that they can incorporate into their life? What's something that they can learn that can set them on a good path, set them towards finding something that they love to do?
Well, one thing is being financially secure will help an evolution, will help a human on this planet evolve. If you're in fight, flight, fear, all those things, if you're in your ego, if you're financially secure, it's easier in life to get through it. So you're not always strapped. Where am I going to find the money? Where am I going to find the money here? What am I going to do here? What am I going to... If you can start out, if a younger guy or girl can start out and put $5 away in some fund a week, if you can put $100, if you're 23, you'd be astounded when you were like 45 or 50, what that, if it was consistent, if you made that consistent investment every week or every month, it would be crazy what you would end up with. And potentially you would be able to retire early and live on some island or retire in Bali or, some island far, far away, or some mountain resort or something like that. You could ski if you did it properly. You start out early. You could be a ski bum. You could ski during the winter months and Telluride, for instance, and you could go to Mexico and surf Scorpion Bay every day for the summer.
It does blow my mind, the power of that just boring financial plan, put away some money.
Yeah.
And it really does blow my mind how often that works.
And if you get a little money, you put it away. You would be mind blown if you got with yourself and Dave and the team here to be able to go, okay, I'm out of college. I know I have debt, whatever it is. And you start in, it would be like your life would change immensely when you're at 40, 50 years old.
And I think that's one of the things that I'm most proud about of what we do here is that we don't have account minimums. If a college kid comes in here and they don't know where to start or what to do with their money, we're going to help them.
Yep.
And it's probably going to cost us more in time and energy to open that account up than we're going to be compensated for it. But there's just so much to be said about putting good karma into the world and not expecting anything back. And when you do that, there's just so much more joy and life satisfaction involved in that than any dollar could bring you.
Yeah.
And ironically, that's when the magic seems to happen.
Yeah.
Is when you do good and you don't expect anything in return, the universe rewards that. It loves it. And it feels so good to be a genuine person in that way.
So one thing I'm learning right now with my client, with my trainer, and she like I said, she's awesome. I was nice for my whole life. I wanted to be the nice guy, and I'm learning how to be kind. So potentially I was a nice guy, always doing things for other people, always being the nice guy in the crowd. But it comes with an agenda. Being kind has a different feeling tone to it. So I just wanted to share that with you, that I'm learning how to be kind for no other reason what you're talking about. Is being kind is putting that back. Being kind to somebody with no agenda, if I do this, I'll get this. Yeah. And that's what I think that you and Dave are doing right now is that you guys are kind. You're kind to me. And I appreciate that. So you're a good anchor to that.
Thank you.
I think that, I was going to go down a rabbit hole, but I won't do that. But I'm learning that for right now, being authentic and real. What is my true authenticity?
And so what's that kind of borderline between giving too much of yourself and helping others? Because I've noticed that you have to give energy to yourself, and you don't want to be that kind of person that's so nice that you get stepped on. But at the same time, when you give without expecting anything in return, there's this really powerful energy that comes with it.
Yeah.
As long as you are protecting yourself, protecting your own energy, and kind of having that sense of street smarts of like, am I potentially being taken advantage of? So what's that kind of sweet spot look like for you?
That's a great...
Being a genuine person.
I'm learning that even deeper right now. But one extreme of that is codependency. And so I've been guilty of that over the years. I understand, especially in a relationship.
Okay.
It's codependency. And the other extreme would be kindness for no other agenda, and being solid, grounded, focused, knowing who I am. And so there's that dimmer switch between codependency and being grounded. And then having boundaries. I think boundaries are new. I didn't have any boundaries for years.
So what does that look like in some of your relationships, for example? Not to get too personal, but if you're willing to share, I think people out there could take something away from that.
Yeah, so I chose a partner that I could, if I come from codependency, I chose a partner, for instance, let me go back here. So I wanted something. So in a conversation, I wanted the conversation to go a certain way so that I would feel good about a relationship. Well, I'm asking something of her, I'm asking something of my partner, of wanting, I want this relationship to be a certain way. I want it always to be nice. I always want to be like loving and understanding. I don't want any drama or anything like that. And so codependency would be is I'm expecting something from someone. And boundaries would be able to, if I don't have any boundaries, there's somebody there that's going to take, and I'm going to overgive myself. Because I think that I'm nice guy overgiving. So I'm going to overgive hoping to get something. So having a boundary saying, well, I got an hour. I have an hour, and I'm going to be grounded, and I'm going to know my boundaries, and I know I'm going to be able to speak authentically and being, grounded in this hour or whatever. this may go on 4 hours, which I'm okay with.
So what did some of that overgiving in relationships look like for you? What could somebody benefit or take away from that experience?
Yeah. So there's times where I overgave, and there's times where I didn't overgive, and I kind of like got silent. So I stepped back, thinking that if that person sees, me stepping back, then that person will soften and try to come toward. It was just push pull, and so there it shows up in many ways of dysfunction. If there's a disagreement in I working on a relationship now and making sure that if there's a disagreement, let's get to the bottom of that, and hear each other. Hear each other's point of view and potentially go, oh, I see, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, and owning it. And taking ownership of that, like, well, sorry, I apologize, I did this, and I'm going to fix it as soon as I can so it doesn't reoccur. So
not just in relationships, but also in life, but to relationships as well. How did you know at what point I need to face this head on, we need to discuss it, and where do you need to preserve your energy and walk away from a situation where understanding may not be possible?
So I chose partners that were in their true divine feminine essence. And I realized that the relationships are important for me to evolve. I need that. I guess I need that mirror. It's more important for me to evolve than it is for me to walk away. And there's always times to walk away because there's always time, there's always situations, and there's infinite amount of situations. And if you're in the midst of knowing, okay, this is where I need to be right now. It was interesting, as I evolve more, my relationships get better and better. I can see it. It's like the racetrack. It's no different than being on the racetrack where it's like, oh, I'm getting faster. Oh, I'm taking care of the tires. Oh, I'm taking care of the car. This is pretty nice. I'm moving up the grid.
You see that outer reflect the inner.
Yes, exactly. So there's an evolution of like, this might be a little easier. We just got through conflict in a speed of sound, as opposed to 3 days, in a big funk. Yeah, so understanding potentially that there's a reason for that block or a trigger to come up. And it's an opportunity for me to take a look at it and really like go, oh, I take ownership. I'm sorry. That's an old pattern that's running. I wasn't, I'm on a triple cappuccino and I shot my mouth off or whatever it is, or I thought it was this and it's that, or, I'm a caveman at times. So being with some evolved women that understand what they want and their power, and it's really helped me a lot. Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with good people.
Yeah, I had my head down for so many years in a career. Like you could talk about, you could talk to my ex-wife, Joy. She, we built a career together, and I push, and people used to call her up and go, well, how's Craig going to do this on a Tuesday? How's he going to do this week? And she would say, man, he's just going to show up and grab the trophy. It would be like she knew the flow of me that week.
Wow.
Or, I don't know, he's a little bit tight this week, or he's a little bit, anxious, or there's some anxiety going on there, or he's a little frantic. I'm not sure what's happening. So she could see my demeanor. She's pretty smart. There was so much racing going on almost every weekend for years and years and years and years. And so she knew me really well, to where it's like, wow, he's just going to show up, grab the trophy, and come home.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So anyway, yeah, good stuff.
So on a random lighthearted note, what's your favorite car to drive?
So
I have to know. I'm curious.
Am
I going to get you in trouble if you have an answer?
No.
Okay.
I love everything. It doesn't matter if I'm in, 2:00 in the morning with some like Scion at Thunder Hill up in Sacramento, some little shit box that I'm with a really good team and we're running up front and we're evolving. I mean,
you're in a Toyota Camry. It's all right.
I don't care. Porsches are amazing. Ferraris are amazing. I mean, there's so many good cars now that are out, that that are really developed. The Mercedes, the big GT3 car, Mercedes are fast and they're easy to drive. Porsches are probably the hardest car to drive because they have that mass in the rear.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you open up the trunk in the front, there's no motor, there's no nothing.
Well, that makes me feel a little better because I went to that Porsche racetrack.
The Experience
maybe
Center.
6 months
down near
ago.
the blimp, yeah.
And, I mean, I did all right, but it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks. Porsches are a little bit harder. There's a lot of pros that have gone to Porsches and struggled early on. They get it eventually, and it's just a different way to drive. With all that mass in the rear, you have almost 200 pounds more per rear corner, per tire in the rear end, than say a Ferrari or a Mercedes or BMW, for instance, because they have the motor up front. Ferrari's mid-engine, but like a BMW or Mercedes has the motor up front, so you drive it different. So the advantages are different. The Porsches are designed to be really good at the first half of the braking zone. So if you're coming all the way down here, the first half of the braking zone is really good the way the motor is, the dynamics. And then it's really good at getting off the turn because the motor's in the rear, so you have more weight in the rear. So like a BMW or Mercedes, their strong point is getting down to the middle part of the turn. So the apex, from turn into apex, from the second half of the braking zone down to apex, down towards the inside, right?
Man, you've got it down to a science,
And
but
so
I mean, if anybody does.
those are advantages. So you drive it differently. So for instance, on a Porsche driver, you would have the advantage in the first half of the braking zone. And then you have to cheat physics from the middle of the braking zone down to the apex of the turn. If you remember what that is, that's the clipping point down near the curb on the inside. So those are the advantages of another car. So you've got to cheat physics, how you come off the brake, how you turn in, how you overturn, how you use the curb, all those things, so that at the apex you unwind the wheel a little bit and get on the power, because that's our advantages. So you maximize our advantage. So if I mess up the middle part of the turn, I just screwed one of my advantages in the exit of a turn because I'm in a Porsche.
So on the subject of these on racing and these cars, what are some things that are still out there that you hope to accomplish? What are some of your biggest goals that you still have in the racing sphere as a professional coach, as a driver, as an enthusiast? And it doesn't even have to be winning the biggest thing of the biggest thing, but what are some things that you still hope to accomplish as a racer during your time here on Earth?
Interesting you say that. So all through my career, I attempted, and I was pretty successful at it. Every 6 months, I really try to reinvent myself. And so there was handstands, there was juggling.
Handstands?
Yeah, things like that.
Okay.
Things like that. So every 6 months, I try to learn something new.
Wow.
Something technical.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, something technical. Right now, it's playing Rummy Cube. My brain, I've had quite a few concussions, so it helps my brain out. And I was just thinking the other day, I need to reinvent myself. I need to learn something technical that's brand new. And I'm not sure what that is at this moment.
You know what? You're inspiring me to do the same.
Every 6 months, learning something new to be able to do the mind, body, spirit. Because, like, for instance, juggling, you need all of it. You need to be focused. You need to have great vision. Your vision is, whether it's you're looking at the balls or you're just opening your eyes to the experience and not chasing whatever it is. There's a lot there. Meditation was a 6 month. Dove into meditation, dove into pull-ups, dove into kettlebells one time, all sorts of different things.
I'm here with the Renaissance man, the jack of all trades and the master of most of them.
That's funny. So I was just thinking the other day, I need to learn something really technical, really new, step up my game. For what I'm doing now is I am a coach and a spotter. And so a spotter is being up at a spot on the track where I can see most of the track or a portion of the track with and have a radio on. So one radio is to the car or to the driver. Another radio is to the crew. And I'm scanning race control as well. So race control tells us what's going on. There's a yellow flag, there's a wreck. We have 20 minutes to the end of the race. So they're on a frequency that I can listen and know what's going on overall. And so how, so I can always speak more clearly on the radio when I'm speaking. I've been doing eye exercises lately to be able to stay focused. So I'm picking 10 things around, and going through and doing 30, 40 of those routines. So I'm looking at, it's back to back and forth. Eye exercises. I'm going to start juggling again.
Okay.
Getting in, doing a workout every day, starting, something like that to be able to pick my game up.
Well, I think it's kept you young. How old are you again?
68.
I mean, you have got to be the youngest 68-year-old I know.
I've had great doctors and I have a great team. I remember I had a team of doctors. There were 22 and I took them all out to dinner one night.
Wow.
Yeah. And we all talked about, anti-aging and performance.
And 22 doctors.
Massage therapists.
Wow, that is cool.
Microscopists, chiropractors. I mean, it was awesome.
That is cool.
It was so interesting to listen to and pick these smart people, and have these people talk to each other. It was fascinating. And this is before all the podcasts. This is 20 years ago. And I wish I would have recorded it because it was fascinating.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was anti-aging, anti-cancer, looking at gut health, how to focus more, easier, more clearly, longer, all these things. It's fascinating. Smart people.
What are some of the biggest things on your radar right now in terms of health boosting? Because I know that every time we talk, there's a new, we're both into all the health modalities, eating right, moving your body, sauna, ice bath, red light therapy, all sorts of things. But what are some of the biggest things that have worked for you, and what are some of the things that are on your radar, on your menu right now?
The first thing is getting the basic foundation is clean water, clean food, and understanding what the best water is, understanding what the best food is, understanding supplements, gut health. I had a time where, and I have skewed proteins, fats, and carbs every which way you could imagine over the years, and then ended up looking at a primal bod diet, and it was really interesting, with the idea of, and I ended up doing it for about 18 weeks and did an okay job. I was on the road a lot, so finding really good quality meat, grass-fed, grass-finished meat, that was pretty hard, and it was interesting to be able to, in this course, looking at gut health and looking at microbiome and looking at how you increase the microbiome in your gut. And that's with all fermented foods. So to this date, I'm not on a protein diet, meat diet, but what I am doing is I've learned a lot about where you find really good food, where you find really good beef, chicken, fish, where you get really good vegetables, fruits, because because our ancestors were hunters, and they hunted the best food possible, the best possible food, so they can feed their family or feed the tribe. The microbiome was the biggest thing that I realized, and gut health was the biggest thing that I've realized lately, and that's all through going to finding a store that builds it in-house, and finding 5 or 6, maybe even 7 or 8 types of different fermented foods, carrots or cabbage or seaweed, for instance, all different types, and having that as a garnish every meal. And if you're hungry, maybe just having some of that as well.
Food that's really alive and vibrant.
That's fermented, and then and every meal, and then getting spring water that's structured. I live in the city. I live in Long Beach, right? So it's hard. There's no springs there. But going and getting the best filtered water possible, putting some nutrients into it, and then structuring my water, spinning it up. That is the cleanest. And I know there's a spring up on Mono Lake on 395.
Okay.
It's probably frozen right now.
You got to take me there sometime.
We got to go.
Get some clean water.
Road trip. It's amazing. It is. when you taste it, it's like it's so smooth, and it feels like it goes right into your cell. It's fascinating. Yeah. So good food, clean water, sleep. I'm always working on sleep. I'm on a funny path right now. I'm not getting enough. Being on a sun up to sundown, sundown to sun up routine.
So you're waking and sleeping with the rise and the set of the sun.
Yeah, that's huge. Getting away from EMFs.
Okay.
I mean, we're bombarded with EMFs. With all the exhaust, with all the tire rubber, with all the chemicals that being in a race car and stuff, brake dust. I'm like an antenna. You can blindfold me and take me through town, and I can tell you right where a tower is. And so it makes me feel funny, and so I'm sensitive to all that. So trying to keep your phone away, at least give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Try to give yourself a break. There's a couple items out there that'll restructure some of the EMF waves. So there's a few things that I sleep in grounding mats or grounding sheets.
I've seen those.
And I try to cover my head and stuff. So it just gives my body a break.
I think there's so much interesting stuff out there that science is going to catch up to, that people are already saying, hey, this makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So it's a wild world, and I think sometimes there's just some interesting things that you learn if you follow the prophets.
I agree. Yeah, there's a lot there that you can like delve into, and it's like a Porsche motor. The Porsche motors last about 40 hours, and they run like, if you don't take care, they run like hell if you take care of them for 35 hours or so, 35, 40 hours. But if you don't take care of it, you're at 20 hours. And it doesn't run so good at the end.
Really, I didn't know that they had like that time limit.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It starts to kind of. I mean, these are race motors, right?
Yeah.
So you always want to have a good, somewhere the sweet spot is in the center. But if you take care of it, it'll go to 35 hours, even 40. So they're a fine-tuned machine. So you always want to take care of it. And same with your body. When we dive into what our body is like, it's like. It is a fascinating machine. It's amazing. Yeah, and to have somebody just abuse it and just pop a bunch of pills and sign yourself over to
it's a shame
pharmaceutical company and stuff. Yeah. Anyway,
let thy food be thy medicine.
Yeah, for sure. And I think as we go farther and farther, we're going to have to look at local grown farmers, and I think that having organic. I think that we've got to be careful with our food in the future and our air. We can go into what's going on with chemtrails and all kinds of other stuff that may or may not be happening, but I don't want to scare too many people. But there's things that are out there that potentially we can, we got to take a look at.
Yeah, and I just hope that we can live in a world someday not too far out where having all these farm fresh foods isn't a luxury, but it's a normal staple. Yeah. And I've been writing about this a lot in that book that I gave you, Fast Money, Fast Times.
Yeah, I look at that
and
a lot.
I think that a lot of it comes down to the money.
Yeah.
And when you look at periods where people used low inflation money, periods where there were gold standards in place, places where inflation wasn't running away.
Yeah.
We used better food. We had better resources. People were healthier. People had more opportunities for that farm fresh food.
Yeah.
And not that every period throughout history has been perfect except this one, but I think that the fact that we're using money that loses value so quickly, and we have inflation that's so high, it pushes people into these, these fast, cheap, packaged plastic products. Where that shouldn't be the case.
I agree. I think potentially we could. I totally agree. There's so many things you can. If you're a guy and you've got a family, I think it's your responsibility to help your family out and hunt for the best food, hunt for the best water, hunt for the best, school. I think and even with the mama bear stuff, there's a lot of, I think it's the same thing is finding not just going down to Trader Joe's and thinking that's the best food possible. It's good, but you've got to really be mindful of what you're getting and how processed it is and where it's from, and eventually probably growing our own food. And
yeah, and it's a shame that going out of your way to get the best food is kind of a luxury in most places in the world right now. And so I hope that we can create a world where more food is grown locally, where it's grown more responsibly, where there's a connection to the earth. And I've had a few friends over the years that are very into that, having that connection to the earth through their food. And I'm not quite there yet, but I hope that's a big goal of mine, is to grow fresh food someday.
I remember having tower gardens in Long Beach, and those were really fun.
That's cool.
That's called it's a Juice Plus Tower Garden. And
we've got one at home.
Oh, do you? Nice. Yeah, they're amazing. Every Monday I planted seedlings, and then I grew food, and it was so amazing. It was for two people. It was, and at times I just wheeled it out front and put scissors on a string and baggies and said, have a salad on me, because we couldn't eat it all. So that was really fun to have people walking the dog and, oh, nice, and take out some lettuce, and
that's really cool.
Cut some lettuce and tomatoes, and they're really cool.
That's really cool.
I think longevity is going to be really important, to look at sourcing all those things and really understanding what is good and what isn't. And I know there's a lot of places in the world that doesn't have great opportunities for food and stuff, but if you look, there are people are buying farms all over the world now, and turning them over to organic, sustainable farms where they weren't before.
It's beautiful.
I love that.
I think it's how it should be.
I
think it's how it should be. And I think so much every day about how, if we're able to transform humanity's relationship to money and value, all these other things fall like a domino. Like health and food, and like how we use our time and how we educate the next generation, and even how we show up to jobs and things like that are just so connected to how we work and save and store value. And I hope to see those kinds of things and improve. So that's in terms of creating a better world and more abundance for people. I see transforming humanity's relationship to money as being a big driver. And from your perspective, what do you see as some of the lowest hanging fruit to make the world a better place? Like, what are some things that we can do as an individual, as a global society, to make the world a better place?
I think it starts with each individual, and then it goes out to your kids and your immediate family. I think the next bigger ring is, and it's contagious, right? So you work on yourself, and you double down on yourself. And I know it's hard at sometimes. You're working 2 jobs, you got 3, whatever it is, you're full, but there's always a time that you're able to make a shift, change. I know it's hard sometimes, but do something once a day to start on yourself. And then your dollar is your vote. I feel the best way to evolve this planet, one of the best ways easily, is to put money towards, that's your vote. And so, I would imagine, if I never thought about this before, but if everybody stopped buying gas for 3 days, that would be a huge statement, I think. The point is that I always thought that my dollar is my vote. Other things is be kind. It's simple, be kind. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own challenges and journeys, and you don't know. Everybody's shooting their mouth off, about this person or that. You don't know. You don't know that person's, have any clue of who that person is. And I've had some great conversations lately with Uber drivers and stuff that are from another country. And I show up and it's like, get in their car, it's like, how alike are we, as opposed to how different are we? And most every situation, there's a lot of similarities, and they come from different walks of life and different, cultures all together. And I was on an Uber the other day, and it's like, what a fascinating, he's from South Africa, and he's learning how to be a public speaker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we just had an interesting conversation. It was just found two brothers in an Uber, and had a great conversation. And I think it's because he thought and I thought together, how alike are we? And how aligned are we? And wow, it was pick something that's allowing you to evolve as a human on the planet. I think is something that I see that people do, and get close to your kids. I don't know.
I love it.
We can go on and on.
I love it. Pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Well, Craig Stanton, race car legend, extreme athlete, all around Renaissance man.
There you go.
Pretty dang good juggler, I hear. But
learning.
Do you have any final words for everybody out there?
Well, I'm grateful for you.
Thank you.
I am absolutely grateful for this opportunity, and I'm grateful for Dave. I'm grateful for, the more financially secure I am, the easier I get, and the easier the walk is in life. I don't have to worry about that part as much. And I think that I'm grateful for your listeners. You found a good spot here. I don't know. I'm just hearing my bio and remembering some of those moments, kind of going through my memory bank. Is just
life's history.
Wow, it's I never slow down enough to think about some of those things all in one lump paragraph. And it's been such an amazing journey. I've seen so many great sunrises and so many great sunsets, and I've had such great conversations with people. And I've given rides to people that 20 years later they go, "You remember when you gave me a ride in that race car?" And that I'll never forget that. And hugged people, crew members, because they had a loss in their family, or a divorce, or whatever, trying to figure out how to help somebody and, get to their next level as well. Beautiful conversations and travel. I don't know. I am blessed beyond words. And
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I'm
just blessed.
Being alive, being here.
Yeah. Being
with someone like yourself. It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, you and I have had some great conversations, and this has been great, and I appreciate all the family out on the podcast.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Well, we'll have to do this again sometime.
I can't wait.
It's been a total pleasure. Craig.
Max, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. Till next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. We're about to change the world of money, watch the flow. New economy beats that echo, timeless rhythm. We writing about to change the world of money, watch the flow.